There's two issues here. First, the advertising sales. Typically, that's been fought by the newspapers, other media that are usually opposed to imposing a sales tax on advertising, and so far they've won out. The other thing is, of course, the billboards. Are they personal property? Are they real estate? And looks like to me like some of these huge billboards are kind of real estate. I mean, they're cemented in, they're a permanent deal. So I wouldn't be opposed to certainly looking into it. You have to be careful in lumping in small billboards with the big billboards. You know, are we going to look at a certain size, whatever? But I think they certainly are an imposing structure there, and I certainly wouldn't be opposed to looking into a tax on those large structures.
This isn't David Letterman.
Well, I would think that if they're taxed as real estate, it's the county's job to assess them and tax them. So it should probably originate from the county. The other thing that there's always things that we can do to kind of help the counties out. One of the things that I've done in the past is how you collect and save for capital outlay projects, for major capital projects. I think in the past your hands were tied, as you could only, if you were putting money aside for a courthouse or some major expenditure, you could only save, I think it was $500,000. And over just a period of a few years, and just this last year we raised it to $5 million, I believe, now over a couple more years. So I think it's wise for counties to put that money away. If you see an addition coming with the growth of Meade County, of course you need those things. So this kind of enables you to put some money aside instead of borrowing it and paying interest. You're gaining interest. So I think just one more tool that we put in your toolbox, and continue to look at things like that kind of loosen the restrictions a little bit, so you can use the tools that you've got. But the thing is, with education, when we go to town for session, education is the only entity that, by statute, has an increase of 3% or CPI, whichever is less. So they get the first bite at the apple as far as increases. And the thing that we've worked on, we try to do, is besides the total dollars increasing, is trying to funnel dollars where they're needed the most. For instance, sparsity. We've got some small districts out, Faith, Newell, Bison, Buffalo, that are really kind of behind the eight ball. They've got just not enough students to garner enough state aid to do what they need to do. So we try to increase that a little bit, so that those sparse school districts get a little bit more money, and we continually the small school factor, things like that. So we continually work on that. But remember that education funding, before session even starts, gets, by statute, gets 3%. We've kind of stuck to the 3% or CPI. Past few years, even though CPI has been less, they've gotten at least 3%, and sometimes far greater than that. So bear that in mind. And was there another part to your question?
Actually, no. Just what are your ideas on increasing funding for education? That was the other question.
A lot of things have been said. Some I disagree with strongly. One of the things I disagree with is the fact that you're an aging teacher. I don't see that at all. This past legislative session, we had a bill before us that worked on teacher pay solely. There was actually a minimum and then some steps. And it was fought tooth and nail by the teachers union, by SDEA. Without even really reading it, they fought us tooth and nail. And there was some merit to that bill. It wasn't perfect, but we weren't even allowed to work on it because it was killed. And just I think there are some genuine concerns as far as teacher pay, some things that we can do, and I'd like to keep working on some. Basically, it was a minimum teacher pay, and went on from there. You had more education, you were guaranteed steps in income, and I think that's maybe the way we have to go. I'm certainly not opposed to a merit pay. SDA has constantly fought against that, but I think teachers that do a good job and continually do an excellent job educating kids need to be probably rewarded for that. And especially if they go on to get a master's and whatnot, I think they need to be rewarded for that. I've heard a couple comments that tells me there's a perception that there's a lot of money thrown around in government and it's all hidden. We never see it. Well, get on the internet. I mean, you can look at any school district, go to the Department of Education's website, you can look at all the dollars. They're all accounted for. It'll tell you down to the penny where they all go, how much your school district is spending per student compared to all the other school districts in the state, and there's just a world of information there where this perception that government is so far removed from us that we can't find anything out, I think is just totally false. One thing I would answer, Dean talked about the pipelines. There is, if these generators are served by a rural electric, they pay a gross receipts tax, and that goes directly to school districts. So that's one form of income that would definitely be there. Last 4 years, I'm looking forward to taking the experience I've gained and the relationships I've built back to Pierre and being more effective and working for this district and for the state. I have made lots of friendships in Pierre. I kind of almost resent the notion that we're governor's boys. There's a lot of things we've certainly fought head-to-head with the governor on, and we'll continue to. We're pretty independent out here. We think independently, and we'll continue to do what we can to push this district and protect and serve the people in this district. And I would just appreciate the opportunity to go back and continue to work for you.